Georgia Rose from Zenkuda. Thank you so much for coming into the soul space. We look a little different tonight because I am in my home studio. I'm recording this earlier in the day because I have an engagement that I have to do tonight on the 21st of March. So one of the things that I have been really aware of lately is the idea that being a spiritual being and being someone who raises consciousness for themselves and others means I go wherever I am needed. And so this evening, a very good friend of mine who recently lost her brother asked me to speak at his memorial. And so I opted to tape the soul space so that you guys can still see some of me, not a live broadcast, but I really needed to be in that particular place this evening. And it was meaningful for that family and also for myself. So I wanted to do that. And I think sometimes we have to really weigh our priorities, especially now with the astrology that we have. We have quite a lot of Pisces energy in the zodiac right now, which we'll go into in a little bit. And I will absolutely explain what the current energy is like. So I want to talk about a few things. I have missed last week's broadcast because I kind of had some negative things happening around me. I actually lost my dear dog, Sparky, who many of you know, and many of you have seen, and many of you have seen photos of, and you see and hear me talk about him all the time. Sparky was a very huge component in my life, in my growth, in my consciousness, and just my world. And 2 weeks ago, I had to put Sparky down very unexpectedly, very suddenly. But when I got the dog, I made a commitment to honor him until his last breath, to be with him until his last breath. And I also wanted to never see the animal suffer. And I think sometimes when we have animals who are sick and at the end of their life, the best thing we can do is honor them and give them a peaceful passing and be with them till that last moment. Recently, we had Phoenix Green on the show talking about animal awareness and their energies. And he really talked about that quite a bit. And it was a really interesting show. So if you want to go back to that show with Phoenix Green, that's on our YouTube channel at Zenkuda. So all of these things that happened, first I lost the dog, and Sparky wasn't just a dog, he was the dog. He was my person. He was my other half. He was part of me. We functioned almost as one being at times. So I'm really feeling the loss of that, but realizing that there's so much wisdom in grief and in loss. And for those of us who've had so much loss in our life, there is really a lot of wisdom in that grief. And I think sometimes we have things happen to us because we are so loved by spirit, by God, by the angels, that they want us to elevate and ascend. And even though it's painful sometimes, it ultimately brings us to a higher place in our life. And I'm really feeling that strongly now. A few days after I lost Sparky, I actually came down with the Coven virus. And the Coven virus was something that I had been fearing for 2 years. And you know from my broadcasts and my messages that I really try and stay out of fear. And I try and stay in a frame of reference that's really, you know, a beautiful frame of reference for love and bringing more love in my life. And when we're fearful, we block that. So I really try not to have too much fear in my life. But the COVID virus was something I just really feared because I have some immune issues. And I always felt like, oh my gosh, if I get this, it's going to really be bad for me. And so 3 days after losing Sparky, I got the COVID virus. It was actually the day after I did my last broadcast. I started to feel a little sick that Wednesday. And so really didn't feel well. It was really like a bad flu. I can honestly say I've been sicker in my life with flus and such. So I consider myself very, very lucky. It affects all of us differently. But what I did find was that I felt like coming on the heels of losing the dog, which as Sparky got older was always in the back of my mind as, you know, something I dreaded. In the span of just a few days, the universe gave me two of my biggest fears to face. And again, what my takeaway from that was how loved am I that spirit, God, Buddha, whoever you believe in, the universe, how loved am I that they were actually coming in, the energy of creation was actually coming in to give me an opportunity to overcome the biggest fears in my life and overcome states of mind that are really challenging for me and triumph in that. So as soon as I started to feel a little bit better from the heavy grief I felt, which I still feel it quite a bit, so send me some love. But as soon as I started to feel better getting to a place with the loss of the dog where I felt, okay, I can function in this. And as soon as I started to feel better, the fever was waning and I was feeling physically better. Immediately, as I felt my energy start to triumph over that adversity, I started to send that triumph and the energy of that triumph out into the world. And I would breathe in my challenge, my grief, my sadness, my illness, and I would breathe it in, right? And feel it. And then I would allow it to transform into a higher level, a higher vibration, a higher octave, one of gratitude that I had sparking in my life, gratitude for what little better my body was starting to feel. And I would take the triumph of that gratitude, that joy, that higher vibration, and send it out to anyone in suffering from the loss of a beloved animal or an illness, whatever their suffering might be. And in the Buddhist tradition, we call that Tonglen. It's bodhicitta and Tonglen. And what we do is we breathe in the suffering of the world in order to transform it into a higher vibration, and then breathe it out to give people triumph. And I think that's really, really important in the world right now. We have so much going on in Ukraine and Russia and so many different countries, some that even aren't on our radar and really have suffering going on. And if we can breathe out into the world, send out the vibration of love, of peace, of comfort, it raises everything vibratory in the world. And we know that. But I think what we don't get, and the link that really is key with that, is it's not just a matter of sending love. It's just a matter of sending peace. It's a matter of being it first. Be love. Close your eyes for a few seconds and just feel love emanating from you. Be the vibration and then send it. Be forgiveness. Be comfort. Be wellness. Be gratitude, and send it to your loved ones, to anyone you know in challenge, to maybe just a friend having a bad day. But send that out after you are that vibration. And that is so powerful, so powerful. And when we do that, also remember to do it for yourself. Because right now I'm going to go to the chart. I'm going to share my screen actually. And the reason why love, self-care is so important right now is because we have a opportunity, let's call it, okay? We have an opportunity to give ourselves more love and more comfort and more forgiveness and more peace, whatever you're feeling you really need to do in your life right now. We have an opportunity to do more of it than we have ever had before. So I am just going to share my screen. Hopefully you guys are seeing my screen share the way it should be. I don't have anyone live, so I can't test it. So I hope you're seeing my screen share the right way. Let me just check it. Hold on if I can check it. Screen share. Yeah, I can do it now. Okay. So this is the chart of a moment. This is a chart for March 21st, 2022. And the reason why I say we have an opportunity to give ourselves so much self-love and self-care is because you see over here, you guys can see my purple arrow. This is Pisces. This is Aquarian energy. And the Aquarian energy is really, we have Saturn in Aquarius right now. So that's really, Jupiter in Aquarius right now. So that's really amplifying that Aquarian energy. And we've got so many planets there. You can see them all. This is actually the asteroid Juno, which is long-term partnerships. Here we have Venus, and then of course this is Mars, and all going through here in Aquarius. So we've got a lot of Aquarian energy, but we've also got a lot of Piscean energy, which is this area here. The sun is now in 0 degrees of Aries. You can see the 0 here, just crossed over. But we've got Neptune, and we've got Mercury, and we've got Jupiter. Saturn is in Aquarius. Jupiter in Pisces. Let me start over for you guys. I'm sorry, I'm confused. My mind still can't focus a lot from things like the COVID and the grief of the dog. So we have Pisces energy right now. The sun just egressed from Pisces into Aries. That's going to change the energy quite a bit on Sunday, the first day of spring. I'm sure a lot of you guys felt the energy shift. That was the sun going into Aries. It's going to create more of a push, more of a energy of power. But we still got these planets here in Pisces. And this planet, Neptune and Mercury, are actually going to join up in a few days on April 12th. And that's going to be a great conjunction of Jupiter and I'm sorry, I'm so confused these days. It's going to be a huge conjunction of Jupiter and Neptune in Pisces. And when that Jupiter-Neptune conjunction happens, it's going to be the first time it happens for 160 years. And that energy is an energy of spirituality, of heightened spirituality. It's an energy that's great for meditation, psychic ability, psychic channeling, psychic readings. It's also a great ability where if people don't want to go into that spiritual connection, they're going to go into more of the energy of escapism and addictions. That's Piscean Neptune energy. It also creates martyrdom, you know? So the reason why I say it's such a great energy for self-care is because that Pisces energy is all about connection and connection with the self. And it's also a lot of connection with health. So if we can use this energy in here, where we've got Jupiter expanding that, right? When Jupiter expands that Neptunian and Pisces energy, we're going to see a chance to really not only connect with the divinity, but to connect with our own intuition in the realm, in the format, in the framework of self-care. So we're going to get a lot of opportunity to heal things within us that maybe we haven't before. So when I was talking about that exercise of, you know, being peaceful or being grateful or being love and sending that energy out, make sure you include yourself and give yourself the compassion that you really are looking for in order to bring your life to the next level, because we've got an awesome opportunity with this Piscean energy. And then we have all this Aquarian energy. We've got Saturn, we've got the asteroid Juno, which is long-term partnership and marriages. We've got this beautiful energy here is Venus. And then we've got Mars in Aquarius. Aquarian energy is futuristic, it's scientific, it is service to the world. So that combined with the Piscean energy in play right now and in play into April, and also setting the theme for the year really for 2022, is an energy where we have an opportunity to figure out how we value ourselves, what's really valuable to us, right? It's a continuation of some of the energy we had in 2021. And it's also going to play out in, we're going to strategically be able to decipher and discern where we bring value to the world. That's Aquarian energy. So with Saturn there, it's going to show us our limitations, but it's also going to show us our future. So the next few days, whatever comes up, especially around this, you know, spring equinox, first day of spring, you want to really be observant of what's going on in your life, because these energies are going to show us a glimpse of what the themes are going to be for 2022 for you. The other thing that this energy does, especially this Pisces energy here with these planets in Pisces, is that also brings out some fogginess. You know, the connections are heightened, but you have to be very careful as to what you believe is the truth, the real connection, you know, so dig deep for those messages and tread lightly. Like, this is not the time to fly off the handle or get a really big idea and act on it right away. It's more of a time you get the big idea, maybe you want to write about it or journal about it or really meditate on it or really think about it before you enact it, because it could be a delusion or an illusion. You may not know the whole story. And that's the other portion of the Piscean energy and this conjunction that's going to happen for the first time in 160 years in Pisces between Neptune and Jupiter. The other side of that, the more lower energy side of that, is revelations about truth. Anything that is on the world stage or in your personal life that has been built on lies, been built on deception, been built on false ego, is really going to be revealed for what it is. So again, try and go into that energy of, you are so loved that the universe wants you to see the truth. You are so loved that the universe wants to give you an opportunity to live in truth, even if sometimes that makes structures that we're believing in fall. Inevitably, what's underneath it is what we're really supposed to see, and what we're really supposed to know is real. So really an interesting time. The other aspect of this and the other layer of this plays into the nodes of the moon. And that's this little thing here that looks almost like a little, what do you call them, headphones. And then it's always across from these headphones here in the opposite direction. This is the South Node, which is currently in Scorpio, just egressed into Scorpio, and the nodes of the moon travel in the opposite direction from the planets. So that's why this is at a higher degree of 25 degree, because it just went into Scorpio a couple of months ago, around the beginning of the year. And then the North Node of the moon is in Taurus right over here. So the North and South Node are always directly opposite each other. When you look at them in your chart, they will have an R for retrograde because they move in a reverse direction. But the nodes of the moon being in Taurus and Scorpio, North Node in Taurus and the South Node in Scorpio, is all about the truth. It's all about digging deep and showing us what's really underneath what we thought was real and what we thought was true. And that's going to be the theme for 2022 with the nodes of the moon. But right now, we have coming up in several weeks, Uranus, that planet that's been driving everything for a really long time, since 2020. Sudden awareness, sudden awakenings, eruptions on the physical plane, volcanic earthquakes, solar storms. We're seeing the Schumann resonance and the solar flares really more than they've ever been before, because our planet is now in a photon belt where it's never been. The electromagnetic field of the Earth is getting lessened, and so we have many more solar storms and solar flares affecting us as well. And a big part of that is this planet right here, guys, this Uranus, which is currently at 12 degrees of Taurus. So Uranus, while it's at 12 degrees Taurus, is forming some conflicts with Pluto and with Mercury. You know, Mercury is this planet over here, where we're over here in Pisces. And what's happening is Mercury is setting a theme with Uranus for the next little while, where we may have sudden awakening. Mercury is our mind, it's our thought pattern. So we're going to have these sudden awakenings. And don't forget, we're in that Pisces energy where connection is heightened, spirituality is heightened, psychic ability is heightened, right? Visitations from the other side, you know, especially galactic energy, because Aquarius is there. So off-planet life forms are going to be in contact with certain of us. So this Uranus is going to make things happen suddenly and quickly. Put that together with the energy I just described in Pisces, where revelations, truth, connection come through. Who knows what's going to happen? But I will tell you that it's going to be a very interesting time. We're going to see a lot of things happen that we don't expect. And that's going to be in our personal life and also on the world stage. But also the great thing is because Pisces is that beautiful spiritual connected energy, that most of these things should be things that are going to heighten our awareness and raise our consciousness into a more love-based society. How we get there may be very challenging and very difficult, but that's really the meaning behind all of this. So this planet Uranus is in a little bit of conflict with Mars again as well. And that's been a running theme for the last couple of years. So we're going to see the stuff in Ukraine, the stuff here in our own home in the United States. We're going to see some things change up. We're going to see leadership being changed up. We're going to see governments being changed up. The United States of America is also its Pluto return, which is huge transformation. So we're going to see a lot of things. And this energy also comes into play again in a very heightened way in November during the election period here in the United States. So it's going to be really interesting to watch what happens leading up to that. The other thing that's really important to talk about in this chart is we're also going to have all these Pisces planets starting to go forward into Aries. And when that happens towards the middle of spring into more of like the May, June, we're going to see a lot more forward movement. Pisces energy right now is very, you know, kind of like flowy and you know, ethereal. But when the sun goes into Aries like it did yesterday, and then other planets start to follow, we have a lot of stuff in Aries, it's going to be more of a go-go energy. That's the time to really start your projects. That's the time to really start putting things into forward movement, because that Aries is a fire sign. It wants us to do things that are movement and life force and prana and really, you know, up the game, so to speak. That's Aries energy. Unfortunately, the downside of Aries energy, and with the sun now ingressing into Aries, is you will see escalation on the forefront of wars, because Aries energy is the god of war. It's ruled by the god of war, Mars. So you're going to see probably some escalation in that part of the world where we see a lot of fighting. So what does all this mean for our personal life? Well, quite frankly, what it means for our personal life is that we have some awesome opportunities here to build on what we already have. I think that we've gone through a lot of changes in our personal lives, especially since COVID hit in 2020. And then, there have been a lot of very drastic changes to the economy for many of us. And I think that's really made us come in and start to reevaluate a lot of things in our life. But now we have an opportunity in 2022 because, when the spring equinox starts and we have the first day of spring and the sun goes to 0 Aries, that's actually the start of the astrological year for us astrologers. So whatever is happening now usually sets the tone for the whole year. And like I said, in 2022, we have an opportunity for healing. We have an opportunity to really spend time with ourselves. Self-care is like the most important thing you can do right now. Self-care, and by that, I don't just mean going on the diet, going for a walk every day, going to yoga, going to the spa, going to the gym. I mean emotional, mental self-care. We need to clean out debris. We need to clean out our inboxes and our phone systems and our text messages and our emails. And we need to really evaluate all of the relationships in our life. Because as Mercury egresses through Pisces and makes its way towards Aries, you're going to see a lot of relationships change. They're going to become more deeply evaluated. Some are going to become more connected. Some are going to become deeper connection, more vulnerability exposed so that you can actually connect more deeply. But other relationships are going to start to get a little volatile. Maybe your partner might have a problem, or you might have a problem with some escapism/addiction. And that could be anything from food to over-exercising to drinking to drugging. But this is the energy where it's really stepping into that duality of, can I go further, deeper, become better, become smarter, more loving, wiser? Or do I just don't want to do that and I'm going to go over here where there's none of that stuff? There's no middle road right now. And we have to find the right fork in our own road. And sometimes that means going deeper, going into more connection, being able to get rid of the things that are in the way of and obstacles to the connections we need in our life. So if you have someone in your life who's taking the other fork in the road of that duality and, kind of going into those addictions or escapism or any of those things, and anger can be that as well. We all have people in our life who get really angry because that's the biggest obstacle of all, right? It's hard to go through somebody's anger to reach them. So if you have somebody in your life like that, be love and send it to them. Be forgiveness and send it to them. Be compassion and send it to them. You can't change their life. You can try to change the vibration of some things, but you can't change anyone's life. And 2022 is a year where it's really, 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 I cannot say really enough, important for us to live our own karma. When we take on the burdens of those around us, or we allow those around us to be obstacles to our own growth and our own ascension, our own raising of the consciousness of the awareness in our lives to better, when we take on karma like that, we are affecting our own lives in a way that spirit and the universe does not want us to do. And we're putting ourselves out of alignment with what our lives are meant to be and our own life purpose. So a lot of times when people come to me and they say, oh, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I really don't know my purpose. Well, the soul always knows the purpose. When you think that or you're having that issue, and we all get stuck sometimes. I'm in a transition right now. But the reason why we can't find the answer is because we're disconnected. And we need to connect with ourselves in order to find that purpose, find that next chapter, find the next thing. And this energy, especially as these planets are still in Pisces and they'll be egressing after the 12th. The 12th is the perfect day. That's when the Jupiter and the Neptune come together. First time in 160 years, total heightened sensitivities. But we have the opportunity now to connect so well with ourselves and go into some self-love and self-compassion and self-care so that we do know our journey. We do know what we're supposed to be doing. We are able to see our purpose and our next chapter and our next step. Many times when we're disconnected, it's not just us that is disconnected. It's that we're allowing junk, we're allowing stuff, we're allowing interference in the radio antennas to come into our life. And that comes in as all kinds of interference. It could be people, it could be things, right? You could even have an unhealthy thing that you think is a hobby that in the long run is not good for you, is something that takes you away from meaningful things, right? It could be anything. It could be the type of music you're listening to. It could be the movies that you're watching. Maybe they make you pissed off and violent. Maybe you're watching media that makes you that way. But we all have things that disconnect us. And in this energy, if you're going into those things that are going to disconnect you, you're making them more powerful than you are. Because the energy of connection will, and Jupiter and Neptune is going to expand that connection. Whatever you choose it to be will be expanded. If you choose to connect with God, that'll be expanded. If you choose to connect with your partner, that'll be expanded. If you choose to connect with booze and drugs and violent media, that's going to be expanded. So that's why I say this is a really important time to practice self-care. And self-care also means, what am I taking into my life? What do I spend my day doing? One of the things I teach in my mindfulness classes that I do at my regular job is I teach people, if you want to know where your energy is going and where your focus is going, look at two things. Look at your calendar, right? You take out your calendars. Yes, I still use a paper calendar. It's just, I have visual, I have to see it all at once. Look on your calendar of where you spent most of your time the past 6 months, what is written on there, and then look at your bank statement, your debit card. Where are you spending all your money? Are you in the grocery store every day? Are you at the bar? Are you going shopping? You know, where are you spending your money and where are you spending your time? If you look at those two things, it's going to tell you exactly what is your focus in your life, where your attention is going, and it will reveal to you what your obstacles have been and why you're not connected as much as you want to be. Or it will reveal to you also where you are connected, right? So that's a really great exercise to do in this energy, because those heightened connections can be really great, or they can be a little bit negative and detrimental for you. And what I like to refer to those connections as is the things we worship. You know, what did you worship yesterday? It was Sunday. I have to be honest, I worshiped my spaghetti and meatballs for a little while. I had made this beautiful dinner. It was so scrumptious. I put a little video up. I was like, God, I wish you guys could smell it. It was so good. I enjoyed cooking it. I enjoyed doing it. I enjoyed being even in the experience of it. And for those few hours, I absolutely worshiped my Sunday dinner. You know, I was like, there was a spaghetti and meatball religion yesterday. So whatever you're worshiping, make sure it's something that brings you joy and brings you happiness and brings you compassion and brings you forgiveness if you need to do that, you know, but don't worship things that make you angry or annoyed or limited or not being able to feel love in your life. You know, worship the things that are really good things for you. So I'm just watching the time here. Okay, still have more time. So I wanted to update you a little bit on the astrological energy and that. But then I also just want to talk more broadly about the energy that I'm feeling just in the world when I tune in right now. And some predictions that I kind of have for the energy of kind of the next little while, I guess. You know, I'm going to say maybe 6 months or so, maybe a little longer. I'm seeing two things. I'm seeing, well, the main theme I'm seeing, let's say, I'm not going to say a number. The main thing I'm seeing is a tremendous amount of battle. I'm going to call it battle between light and dark. And what is light and dark? Well, like I just described, love, compassion, beauty, creativity, you know, that's all light, right? When we are in creation, when we're creating something, we are in total communion with creation, God, right? So when you're in that space, there's no time. Like, have you ever created something or been writing or been painting or drawing or sketching or whatever it is you like to do? Could be anything that you create, jewelry, woodwork, whatever. And you're working with your hands, or you're working with your mind, and all of a sudden time just flies, because there is no time in creation. There's no, we create time. Time is man-made. So when we're in that complete connection with creation and we're creating something, we're in our zone, right? There's no time. It just flies and it flows, and we're in complete alignment with creation. That's light. So what I will challenge everyone is in 2022, find something that is creative for you. It could be art or drawing or poetry or writing or music or whatever, or it could be something else that's creative for you. Maybe creativity and creation for you is volunteering in a charitable organization or in your church or maybe it's speaking or whatever. But in 2022, try to spend some of your time, a good portion of your time, in the energy of creativity. And journal about it or be aware of it in some way, record that progress. And at the end of a few months, I am going to bet you that your life is going to feel different. Your life is going to feel more elevated. Your life is going to feel more aware. You're going to be happier. You're going to be more joyful, and you're going to be more tolerant of things. So the first energy that I'm feeling very, very much coming in for 2022, that battle of light and dark, I feel that creativity is a huge part of the answer to light winning. We have to get back to our creativity. I think that the long months of isolation from COVID across the globe, the disillusionment in a lot of the government structures that we have across the globe, I think they have hindered our creativity. And I think it's time for us to get back into that vibration of creativity and the vibratory height of creation that really sets our passions on fire, and I think that's one of the themes of Zenkuda, is that we are a group of people, we are a community, we are a philosophy about life where we're living our passion. Like, what makes you throw your darn legs over the bed every day? Do more of that. Do more of that. We've all been so depleted, and our nervous systems are so on high alert from all these things that have been happening in the world. We need to go back into the creativity as a balm for our soul and as a healing and as a self-care. So that's the first energy I really just am feeling out in the universe, is we need to really get back into creation and creativity. That could be gardening, where I am in the Northeast of the United States, we just had the spring, first day of spring. So now we're all thinking about our gardens. That's creative. Growing something is the most creative thing you can do. Working with children, having a baby, creation in its finest form. But really put yourself somewhere where you're feeling that heightened creativity and the energy of creation, because you're going to feel a complete different vibratory essence coming into your life. The other energy I'm feeling is angelic. I feel like the angels are coming in very strongly for me again. Those of you who know my personal spiritual story know that I awakened through angelic energy in the very beginning, and was extremely connected to angelic energy. I studied angels for years. I worked with angels. People would come to me for healings, and they would remark on the fact that they felt the angels and things like that. People would see them around me. And I got away from that a little bit because I started to go into other modalities, with astrology, with, other guides that come into my life. Saint Germain is one of my main guides. I work in violet light. Everything I do is mostly in violet, and that's the highest vibratory spectrum on the color of light. And so I work with that a lot, and it just resonates with me. A lot of healers work in white light. I work in the violet light. And I believe that Saint Germain is a tremendous light of the world that transmutes energy right away, unlike angels who you must call in. So I'm feeling this angelic energy coming in very, very powerful. At times when I meditate, I can actually see angels all over the Ukraine. I just feel like we're in such a energetic place of the angelic energy needing to be called in. And angels are by our side all the time, but they won't intervene or help us until we call them in. And, just throughout the day, if we could all just say, angels, surround me now, or angels, please help me, or angels, please make me aware of what I need to see. Angels, please make me aware of what I need to hear. Angels, please protect me. Angels, please protect the Ukraine. Angels, please protect my country. Please protect my family. Whatever it is, your intention, we all have a bazillion different intentions. But if we can get in the habit of calling in the angels on a regular basis, I think that is so high vibration. feeling around me right now. If you call them in, they come. And I always know when angels are around because I hear a very high-pitched sound. I know you guys think I'm nuts now, but I'm not. And I really can feel the angels when they come in, and they're surrounding all of us right now. They're surrounding me as I do this video. And, you know, sometimes I just say a very silent prayer to myself, just almost as natural as breathing for me, where I'll just say, angels, please surround me as I do my broadcast. Angels, please inspire me to speak something that someone needs to hear. Let me be an instrument. Let me be a clarion to the world. And so in putting myself in service, use me for the greater good. You can say a prayer like that, before you have to do something challenging. But bring the angels in again and, really make them part of your life. They're so unbelievably beautiful and so unbelievably helpful to us in our lives. I used to do a ritual. I'll try and post it on my Facebook page. I have it in one of my laptops, where I actually would have the angels come in to my home. And I would set a certain time, like 8 o'clock on Saturday, the angels were going to come. And then at 8 p.m. on that day, I would open my front door and welcome the angels in. And I would have a beautiful altar set up with flowers and some offerings to the angels. And the angels would stay and live with me in my home for a couple of days. And then when it was time for the angels to go, we had set a time, and I would do a ritual and say goodbye to the angels, and I'd send them to a friend's house. And my friend would open their door at that time and invite the angels in. And it was just a beautiful ritual. And about 5 or 6 of us did it at one time. And we had a rotation of the angels. And we used to really, because we were all actually in like some kind of challenge in our lives. We all have different challenges. And so we had this little group, and it was a life group. And then we would do the angel rituals. And it got to the point where like one of the girls would say, I have 2 weeks to wait for the angels and I really need them now. And I'd say the angels are around you all the time. But if I can find that beautiful angel ritual, I will post it because it's so beautiful to do. And grab some of your friends and say, let's do the angel ritual. And you all can take turns inviting the angels into your home. And I used to bring them with me. I'd be like, come on, angels, we'll go to the supermarket now. And, you make a game of it, but you'll feel the energy and the angels are there. So I'm feeling a tremendous amount of creativity in the world to take advantage of that. And I'm feeling a tremendous amount of angelic energy, just like on the sidelines, like picture a big heavenly football field. And they're all waiting on the lines, and they want to come in, they want to be a part of our lives. So remember your angels, and we've all got special ones. You can go to sleep, before you go to sleep at night, ask who your guardian angel is. And in the morning, more than likely, you'll wake up with a name. Mine is Althea, strangely enough. So definitely bringing the angels. And the other energy that I am feeling really, really strongly, I know I say really a lot, is the energy of forgiveness. And I started to write about it, and it turned into such a deep thing that I need to like kind of morph it a little bit before I make it public. But I woke up a few weeks ago, and sometimes upon awakening, I have a message. I just hear things, or I hear a voice, or I get a download of some kind. And the sentence that I heard was, if you think revenge is sweet, forgiveness is the nectar of the gods. Don't know where it came from. Could have been my higher self, could have been an angel, could have been Metatron, could have been God. But it was just something I was given. And I started to write about that. And the energy of forgiveness is so, so important in our societies right now, in our world right now. We have so many things that are still talking about separation and segregation and hatred and annihilation and all these egoic things, and the energy of forgiveness is so powerful. And we have all this controversy and conflict over history now, right? But what's the main theme of anything that's happened is we need to forgive it. We need to move on from it. We need to allow it to be what it is, not change it into something it isn't so that we can be able to swallow it better. Stuff happened. We need to forgive it. And it's that way in our own life too. And so I think, especially when I look at, and I hate to keep bringing it up, but the Russian-Ukraine conflict is just in the forefront now. I don't even really watch that much media. But when I look at that, I can't help feeling like we all need to forgive so much, so much. We're still trying to forgive things that happened during the Second World War. And now here we are on the precipice of the Third World War, and what has changed? So we all have to take on the responsibility of forgiveness globally and in our own lives. So in 2022, that's the tough work. That's the really hard work. 2022, the energy of forgiveness is going to come to the forefront in your life. And in order to be forgiven, we have to do something that's maybe egregious. In order to forgive something, something egregious has to be done to us. That is reality. That is where the energy of forgiveness comes from. Unfortunately, something negative has to happen. So don't dwell in that negative. Don't prolong it. Don't make it your life. You have to go into the energy of forgiveness to get rid of that. And I'm very passionate about this because out of all the energies I feel coming through in the world grid right now, and I tap into the world grid, and out of all the energies I feel right now, the energy of forgiveness is so, so, so very vital and important to us stepping up and moving forward in a loving consciousness, in a higher awareness, in a higher state of being human, in a higher state of humility, in a higher state of compassion all across the world. It's forgiveness that we need to step into and really feel what forgiveness is. Forgiveness isn't here in our mental brains. We say, oh yeah, forget it, I'm okay with it. That's bullshit. Forgiveness is going really deep, feeling the pain, acknowledging it, and releasing it to feel love where it used to be. And part of that is what I started out in the video talking about, is knowing that you are so loved that that thing happened to you. You are so loved that you were given this experience. As almost intolerable as it may have been, you were given it to bring you to a higher place in your world, in your life, in your soul, in your essence. And isn't the purpose we're here in every one of our lives to grow higher and higher and higher, right? So all of these things that we're given, that we're holding on to, that we can't forgive, they were given to us because we are so loved. We were given that experience to have more wisdom, more compassion, more love, and more soulfulness in our life. So that blessing is something that you need to transform from negative to positive through forgiveness. And that's what I'm feeling is the energy in the world. And those energies are here to stay for a while. Creativity, go in it. That also helps with forgiveness. Angelic energy, bring in the angels. They're such pure love. And then really good dive deep. What do you need to forgive in your own life? What do you need to forgive yourself for? You know, I have things I need to forgive myself for. Anyone who's been divorced or anyone who's failed in relationships has things to forgive themselves for, right? And what about your relationship with yourself? Where do you betray yourself? And what do you need to forgive for that? We all betray ourselves, whether it's reaching for the quart of Haagen-Dazs or staying in a relationship overly long. It's a betrayal to your own human growth, your own soul growth. So what do you need to forgive yourself for? So that's really where we're at. And I really think that the energy coming in is beautiful. Those things I was just talking about, the forgiveness, the angelic energy, the creativity, they are so going to be so heightened as we go up into that April 12th conjunction. And then that energy will stay with us for a while. The Jupiter-Neptune conjunction in Pisces. Huge spiritual tsunami coming in for us to do all this beautiful work. So the amount of love that's coming in this year is so optimistic and so beautiful that we just have to bask in it. So remember what I said, be love, send it out. Don't just send love out. You got to be love first. Feel it in your beautiful souls and your hearts. Breathe into your heart like it's your lungs and send that energy out. I am Georgia Rose. You can find me on Zenkuda on YouTube, Zenkuda on Facebook, and also Zenkuda Official on Instagram. If you want a private reading, an astrology chart, a healing, you can always do that with me via FaceTime, Zoom, or over the phone. If you're local, I can do private sessions. And I do always come on Strong Island Television, 7 o'clock on Monday nights. I hope to see you in the studio next Monday. We'll go back to the live call-in show. Thank you guys so much. This is the energy I source my life from, and I love you guys. Have a great, fantastic week. Get out there and connect. Bye-bye.